We know how to write a program, and we know how to give setup instructions to the computer. We know there are 3 steps we need to follow while writing a computer program. So in the previous video, we have written a program in JavaScript, we have compiled it, we have ran it in the web browser, and we have seen the output in front of the computer. Now I'm going to tell you an ideal approach to programming. I mean, even if you don't have any technical background, let's say maybe you are not a computer science student, maybe you're not from a computer background, maybe you're not a technologist, or maybe you don't belong to technology, still you will be able to understand how to write a computer program, what approach you can take to write a computer program. I mean, programming is really easy if you try to follow this ideal approach to programming. Because now we know how to write a computer program, but say suppose you want to write a calculator program or maybe a complex banking application. The question which is going to come into your mind, where shall I start? And to answer this question, I have an ideal approach to programming. So whenever you have an idea in your mind and you want to implement that idea as a computer program, you're going to ask these 2 questions to yourself. The first question is what a program has, and the second question is what a program does. I'm going to repeat the questions: what a program has and what a program does. These 2 simple questions you need to ask. So say suppose you want to write a calculator program. You're going to ask these 2 questions to yourself before creating a calculator program. So I'm going to open a calculator program in front of you, and you're going to ask these 2 questions to yourself: what a calculator has and what a calculator does. So start scanning this application from left to right, or maybe from top to bottom. What you can see, we can see the calculator has an output. We can see the calculator has lots of buttons, right? Even we can see the calculator has a menu. So we are getting the answers. We are getting the answer to the first question. Now the second question that you need to ask is what a calculator does. So what a calculator does: calculator divides, calculator multiplies, calculator subtract, calculator do addition, or overall we can say calculator does calculations, right? You're not just going to think about it, we are going to write it down, and later we will see how we can convert this thinking, this ideal approach into a computer program. So I'm going to open a file here. So I'll start with my JavaScript file, because we are going to write all of our code in JavaScript. So I have a blank JavaScript file here. So like I said, what calculator has, this was the first question, and whatever I have written here, this is a comment. I mean, if I write these 2 forward slashes followed by English statement, this is considered as a comment. So when this program will run, the compiler or the browser which is going to interpret my JavaScript file is going to ignore this particular statement. So we know what a calculator has. Calculator has an output, then calculator has buttons, and a calculator has a menu. The next question we have asked is what a calculator does. And we know calculator does calculator divide, multiply, subtract, and add. So we do have answer to our 2 questions: what a program has and what a program does. Let's take one more example. Say suppose you want to write a greeting program. I mean, you want to greet someone, you want to say hello to someone. So we can again ask these two questions. What a greeting program has, and in a greeting program we need to greet someone, right? We need to say hello to someone, so we need a name. We need a first name or a last name or a full name. We need a name of a person to whom we want to greet, right? So we can consider that part as a has part. When we ask what a greeting program has, so we can say greeting program has first name, because we need a first name of that particular person to greet. Also, we can ask this question, what a greeting program does. What a greeting program does, it greets to the user, right? We are going to say hello to the person. We can say hello John or hello Julie, something like that. Let's have one more example. Like, say, suppose you want to create a bank application, right? You want to create a bank application. So we can ask what a bank has. So what a bank has, we can say bank has money, because we are going to deposit or we are going to withdraw money from the bank. And what a bank does, so obviously, like I said, we can deposit money into the bank and we can withdraw money from the bank. Sounds simple, right? Asking these two questions, what a computer program has and what a computer program does, at least give us a foundation to write a computer program. And moving on, don't worry, we are going to see how we can convert these two questions into a computer program. We'll go step by step. This ideal approach to programming does help. So a computer program on a high level is actually collection of data and functions. So while writing a computer program, you're going to create lots of data and you're going to write lines and lines of functions. And we need to understand how we can create this data, how we can give set up instructions to the computer of how to create a data. And we need to give a set of instructions, set of steps to the computer of how to write a function, or I can say how to create a function. So like I said, we have asked two questions: what a computer has, what a program has, and what a program does. So this has part actually equals to data. The question which we have asked and we got the answer related to has part is going to be the data. So like this first name could be a data in our computer program. This money could be a data in our computer program. This output could be a data in our computer program. Maybe this buttons or menu bar, we couldn't say this could be a data in our computer program. This may belong to something else, but by answering this question, we get something out of it. At least we get a foundation, at least we get a start to write a computer program. So when we say what it has, basically what we get, the answer we get is equivalent to the data in your computer. So say suppose you want to do addition of two numbers. You need two numbers, right? So say suppose I say take 5 and 10 and add it and give me the output. So you're going to store that 5 number and you're going to store that 10 number into your mind, right? And then you will do the calculation and give me the output 15, right? Similarly, we need to tell the computer, take the first number 5, take the second number 10, and then do the addition and give me the output. So we need a way to define data, and we will see how we can define data in a program. And this does part, right? This divide, multiply, subtract, add, and even this greet method and greet, even this greet, then this deposit, this withdraw, all of this does is actually equals to functions. So these could be functions in your program, and we will see how we can write these functions while writing our program. So like I said, on a high level, a computer program is collection of data and functions. Now we need to give instruction to the computer to create the data for our program. Like in our case, this output is data, and we should know how to create this data. So to create a data, we need to follow the grammar. we need to follow the syntax of a particular language. So now in our case, we are using JavaScript. So we need to see like how we can define data in JavaScript. If you are using C or a C++ or Java or any other programming language, you need to check the syntax, you need to check the grammar of that particular language. But to define data in JavaScript, we write a var keyword. This var is a keyword. It is a reserved word in a JavaScript language. And then we need to name that particular variable, right? So I have used a var keyword with var keyword, then I have named my variable output, okay? And then a semicolon. So this is a single instruction, a step I have given to the browser, or we can say the computer. But in our case, our programs are going to run inside a browser, so we will always say browser. So I said browser, please go ahead and create a variable, create a memory box, create a memory location inside the computer and name it output. Like we were discussing addition of two numbers, right? For addition of two numbers, we need two numbers. So I'll go ahead and tell computer, okay, take the number 1. So I'm saying create a memory location num1 and create a memory location num2. So I have given instruction to computer to create two different memory location inside a computer and name them num1, num2. So this is how we create a memory location inside a computer. But in our case, the output variable we have created, we have a memory location, but we don't have anything stored into it. So if you want to store something into a variable, we just need to say equals and say, suppose in our example, I'm going to store a value of 0 because initially the output will be 0. And similarly, we can do here, say suppose I want to do addition of 5 and 10. So I can say computer, create a memory location num1 and store a value of 5 inside it. And I can do same thing here, create a memory location, name it num2 and store a value of 10. So you can see I have declared a variable output and I have stored a value 0. Now we understand what this 0 is, and even we understand what 5 is and what 10 is. All of this are numbers. So basically this output, this num1 and this num2 are containers for storing numbers. But I didn't specify anywhere that this output is going to contain number. Right? Because in JavaScript, we don't specify the data type. Now this is a data, this output is a data for my computer, but I didn't specify anywhere the data type of this particular variable. But in other programming languages like Java or C#, we write something like this. Number. So I'm specifying that my output data, this output data is of data type number. So you can only store number in output. But in JavaScript, we don't specify any data type. This is just for your information. Let's go ahead and create the data for the greeting program. So we have a data here called first name. Okay, this is my first name. First name is my data. So how I'm going to create a data for first name. So again, we need to follow the same syntax. I'm going to use a var keyword. Then I'm going to name this variable as first name, then equal sign. So say, suppose you want to say hello to John. So I'm going to store John into it, but we cannot write John like this because John is a name, right? And John is not a number. So it is something else. So John is a string and we write strings using double quotes, or even we can write strings using single quotes. So there are two different ways of creating strings. We can either use double quotes or we can either use single quotes. So you can see I have created a variable first name. So I have told computer, I have told the browser, create a memory location, name it first name and store a value John inside that particular memory location. And what is the data type of this first name? It is a string. So now we know how to create numbers, how to create a number variable and how to store a number value into it. And even we know how to create a string variable. So I have created a string variable called first name and I have given it a value of John. So now we know two different data types, numbers and strings. We do have a third very important data type, which is called a Boolean. And a Boolean data type or a Boolean variable can contain only two values, true or false, yes or a no. Say suppose John is a male. I want to say hello Mr. John, or maybe instead of John I can use Miley here, and Miley is a female, I know, so I need to say hello Miss Miley, something like that. So to create a Boolean variable or to create yes no type of variable or a true false variable, we again use the same syntax. We write var keyword, then say suppose I can create a variable is male is equals to true, or is male is equals to false, because we have a Miley here and we know Miley is a female. So we will say is male is equals to false. This is third type of data we can create inside our JavaScript program, which we call a Boolean type. So we know how to create numbers, we know how to create strings, and we know how to create a Boolean values. Now let's move ahead and finish this bank program as well. We will create our data called money. So I'm going to declare a variable money and I'm going to assign it a value. Maybe initially we are going to have a money, maybe find $1. So we know now that money is a number because I'm storing a value of 500 inside money. So in all of these cases, I have given an instruction to the computer. Like in this case, I said computer, go ahead and create a memory location called money and save a value of 500 or store a value of 500 inside it. Awesome. So now we know how to create data in our application. I mean, we got the answer to our first question, what our application has. And now we know how to convert that has part into data in our application. So we have created different types of variables like numbers, strings, and Boolean variables. Now understand how to create the data. Now in the next video, let's see how we can convert the second question, what our application has, into a function.